Happy Friday. I'm Mayor Dan Pope, and for this week's weekly video, we're doing Facebook Live. I'm going to pause for a minute to let people join the call. Video, I guess. It's not a call. I'm old school. Okay, it's good to be with you this week. As you know, if you follow our videos, this week we're doing answering questions that you have sent in, and we've had a busy week. If you're in our community, you're very aware of that. And so I've got a handful of questions that I'm going to answer. I hope that you'll find this informative, and in doing it this form gives me a chance to answer the most popular questions. So let's start. The first question. My question is, how long will the City Council allow the citizens to be overcharged by the monopoly of LP&L? Okay, so we've got a lot of LP&L questions this week, and there really are two themes. One is cost, and one is the fact that we don't have competition in the market. So I'm going to try to take those separately. First of all, let's talk about cost. I feel your pain. My electric bill is the highest it's been of the year. But remember, when you get your LP&L bill, I just want to remind everyone that that includes not only your electricity, but it includes other city services too. So make sure that when you're looking at that bill, that you remember that it's not all LP&L. Now let's go back to LP&L. We're going to use more electricity to cool our homes this time of year. Even if you don't move your thermostat, with the kind of weather we had, and most of us, the billing period that most of us have just received our bill for included 17 days in a row above 95, including some very hot days at the very beginning of July. Excuse me, very beginning of June. I can't make the bill go away. They're high because we use more energy this time of year. The phenomena we're having with people being frustrated with electric bills is going on in Austin and in El Paso and Nacogdoches and other cities around the state. A quick Google search will show you that. Here's what we're trying to do to make sure that we deliver affordable, reliable electricity. Number one, if you're on LP&L, you're paying right at the average rate in the state. You're paying a little more than you would if you were on South Plains Electric Co-op. I hope that once we've made some investments in our system, which we're doing right now, that we can start bringing our rate down. I think we'll be able to do so. Texas is a low energy state. If you put this in perspective, it's not all bad, but that doesn't doesn't in any way hide the fact that we need to provide low cost electricity. That's what we expect. Okay, that's what we're trying to do with LP&L, and that'll be my effort, and that's job one. Let's talk about the monopoly situation. We would all like to have competition. Okay, I'm a business person. I understand competition. It makes competition makes all boats rise. It's what our system is based upon. We used to have competition in our market when we had Xcel Energy or Southwestern Public Service along with LP&L. 10 or 12 years ago, our city leaders made a decision to buy Xcel out, and we only have LP&L providing service in our market today. We're a regulated city when it comes to electricity. That means that we have a municipal utility, or in some cases that they're covered in regulated cities by co-ops. There's 72 cities in the state that have municipally owned utilities. Lubbock, San Antonio, Austin, Denton, Garland are examples of that. There are also 75 co-ops around the state that provide services. Now, you can be in a regulated or deregulated. Excuse me. You can be in a regulated market and still not have a city utility. I mean, Amarillo is a good example. They only have one choice in Amarillo. It's a privately owned company. It's Xcel Energy. I want competition. I think it's good. I think that's our long-term goal. One of the reasons we want to be in ERCOT is that we feel like for our citizens, it provides choice. It allows us to provide a portfolio of power that we think will be less expensive for our citizens. And over time, we very well may ask the legislature to consider deregulating Lubbock, which would allow us to shop for our own electricity from a number of providers, in fact, dozens of providers around the state. Here's one caution. Over the last 10 years, if you were in a deregulated market, you paid more for your electricity than you did in Lubbock, Texas. The deregulation sounds great because it gives a lot of choice, and there's periods of time when you might be able to buy a really low rate, but there's also times when your rates will be much higher. And even though the gap between deregulated and regulated is getting closer, regulated power like LP&L has been cheaper over that period of time. Remember that the deregulated people are generally businesses that they're for profit. So they have shareholders they've got to take care of. In our case, the shareholders are the citizens. We return that through lower rates or some investments that we make in our system. But to sum it up, we got a problem. Nobody likes high rates. I will operate every day to work with LP&L administration and their board, citizen-led board. Remember, 9 of your peers that lead LP&L. I want them to operate like they're not a monopoly. They need to be providing the power and the service that we expect at the lowest possible rate, and that's our goal, and we'll continue to work towards that. Just one final thing, there was a petition online, and the gentleman that started that is a guy named Mr. Lee, and he and I are meeting on Monday. I want to hear what he has to say. He's coming down to meet with me and a couple other elected officials. I think it's important that we listen and talk. I've tried to respond to many of your Facebook posts or your emails. I can't get to all of them. I've put out some general thoughts around this, but your opinions matter. So I really appreciate you reaching out about it. Let's move on to another topic. The next question is, I would like to know why you oppose Senate Bill 2. Senate Bill 2 was the bill in the legislative session. It's now Senate Bill 1 in the special session. It's a revenue caps bill that it has to do with tax revenue. And I really don't oppose it from a standpoint of what it does to the city of Lubbock. It's not going to, over the last 10 years, it would not have impacted us. Our taxes have never gone up to the point that it would trigger an election. So we're a low tax, low government involvement kind of city. That's what we want to be. That's what our citizens want to be. That's who I am. That's how I ran. Philosophically, I oppose it and probably shouldn't spend a lot of time talking about philosophics, but I believe that the citizens of Lubbock are best served to make the decisions for Lubbock. And if our tax rate were to go up too much, that might be 3% instead of 4 or 5 or 6%. But if it went up too much and they didn't like that, then they have a chance to vote us out of office. I think that's how our system works. That's where I am on the issue. So, third question. I guess I'm glad that you met with mayors from 6 other West Texas cities. What's the goal? Last week, I met with the mayors of Amarillo, Midland, Odessa, Big Spring, and San Angelo. The mayor of Abilene had to have been with us, and he had an emergency, and a friendly emergency, couldn't attend. We had a great meeting. The goal is this. We have much more in common than we do not in common. There'll be times when we compete. We may compete for an economic development deal. We may compete for something in the legislature. But day in and day out, West Texas needs to stand together. The 60% of the state's population is in, more than 60% is in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. 85% of the state's population lives in I-35 or to the east. Okay? So that means that for more than half of the state, only 15% of the people live in that area. However, we provide the food, the fuel, and the fiber for our state. So if you want to wear clothes, if you want to drive your car to work, or if you want to eat steaks or corn or onions or drink our wine, whatever it may be, that comes from West Texas. We've got to stand together. And it's nothing more than just good old common sense kind of building a collaboration and trying to do good things for West Texas. I'm a proud West Texan. I remind people all the time that I spent more time in Austin yesterday going from the Capitol to the airport in the middle of the afternoon. I spent more time in traffic than I'll spend between today and Labor Day in Lubbock, Texas. We have a great quality of life. We need to protect it. We need to make sure we advocate for it in Austin. Fourth question. Why is the city looking at making police officers buy their own weapons? Okay, so we're not. But here's maybe where somebody is confused. We issue a revolver. We pay for it. However, if one of our police officers chooses to buy their own weapon, something different than what we provide, we have a list of guns that they can buy. And many of our police officers choose to do that, but we do still provide and pay for their guns. Want to make sure I answered that one correctly. I had to call the police department on that one. You may or may not know this, but the mayor doesn't know everything. And so I had on this one to make sure I understood it, because I saw the question come in earlier this week. Finally, there have been a number of questions around the police department and around Citizens Tower. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes and talk about that. First of all, last night at our council meeting, we voted unanimously as a council to move forward on our plans to build a new administrative headquarters for the police department, to build 3 substations, in one in North Lubbock, one in East Lubbock, and one in southwest Lubbock, to retrofit an existing building to become the new police property warehouse, and to provide a solution for municipal court. We've asked staff to get back to us with options on how to finance that. That we don't have dollars set aside for that today. We will have, I believe we'll have a workshop at our next meeting on August 10th where we'll start talking about it. The work on this has been done. The facilities committee has done the work around actually knowing exactly what the facilities are going to cost. And so we'll keep moving. We'll do it in the light of day, and we'll move quickly on it because our cops deserve better. Our downtown police station is grossly inadequate for our men and women in blue today. It's something that for a generation, our community has kicked this problem down the road. And I think this council has said, we're going to take care of it. And so we want your input around that. Finally, Citizens Tower, it's been called somewhere this week, it's been called an ivory tower. I sort of smile at that. It will be about that color, but it's not certainly going to be an ivory tower. We've delivered that project. Remember that those bonds were approved by the previous council and sold by the previous council. It's a $63 million project. That includes buying the building. That includes doing the demolition, getting rid of asbestos, providing parking, rebuilding it so we can consolidate all of our city services in there. Remember, we're moving LP&L there. We're moving the water administration there. We're moving traffic there. We're moving Parks and Rec there. We're moving IT there. We're moving community development there. They're all in space today. Most of it rented around the downtown. We'll quit paying those rents. We'll consolidate those folks with the people that are in today's city hall. We'll have a much more productive organization and one that can serve our citizens better. We're doing it in the budget. That was our promise to you. I think it'll be a project that you can all be very proud of. Okay, so I'm going to wrap right there. I want to remind you that if you want more information, if you go to mayordanpope.com, we've got videos. There's an archive of all the videos I've done, going back to at least from the day I was elected, and maybe even some from the election. You can search for them. In fact, if you went in and searched for Citizens Tower, you would probably see a handful of videos. We've talked about this consistently now for 15 months. My promise to you is that I was going to communicate with you, that I was going to be upfront, that I was going to tell you the truth, and that I was going to listen to you. I had a little faux pas there. I think that's where our council is. I'm so very thankful for your support, for your ideas, and for your prayers. I look forward to talking with you again next week.